Everyone's freaking out about tariffs again. Prices going up, supply chains melting down, and people screaming about Walmart shelves. But here's the thing, this isn't just about trade. This is about empire, oceans, Arctic ice, military dominance, and yes, Trump might be playing a bigger game than most people think. Today, I'm connecting the dots between Trump's tariffs, America's lost dominance, and the rise of China and Russia, and how history's empires like Rome and Britain show exactly what's coming. This is real politics, not retail politics. So let's break it down.
And I'll tell you what, it's an honor to do it because we have been just destroyed. If we can make a really fair deal and a good deal for the United States, not a good deal for others. This is America first. It's now America first.
Bring in Robert Wolf, former economic advisor to President Obama, and Steve Moore, former Trump economic advisor. Welcome to both of you. You know, people are just trying to wrap their minds around this.
Let's go back to 1994. The Cold War is over. The U.S. is top dog. NATO is expanding, and the World Trade Organization actually gets some teeth. And NAFTA locks down the North American dominance. The result? A unipolar world. One empire, one economic engine, just the United States. But by 2007, that grip starts to loosen. This is when you get the rise of BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Then the global recession hits. American overconfidence meets economic chaos. The Middle East is burning cash, and China's factories are printing money while Russia is rearming. The multipolar world is here, and the U.S., we're no longer the referee. There's an old saying, tough times make good men make good times make weak men make tough times. And I think that this is just in the cycle where we've reached that point where we as a society have become so weak and so caught up in our own BS that at the end of the day, this is what we get because we decided to outsource everything instead of being responsible and keeping our finger on the pulse of what's really going on in the world, so that when we actually voted, we put in politicians that would make sure to put the American empire, even the American dream, ahead of the rest of the world. But instead, we got globalists. So let's talk ice, the Arctic. Why did Trump seriously float buying Greenland? I'm sure you probably laughed at it, but it wasn't a joke. It was a strategy. The northern route is a new gold rush. It's the shortest path between China and Europe. And as Arctic ice melts, this corridor becomes the next Panama Canal, but colder, richer, and way more contested. Here's the power players. China and Russia are already moving fast. Russia's icebreaker fleet is the largest on Earth. China calls itself a near Arctic state and is investing in the polar research and infrastructure. They're building logistical and military presence while America argues over culture wars and who's more woke than the other. And then there's Canada. Canada claims the Northwest Passage as internal waters. The U.S. says it's international waters. Russia disagrees with both. Denmark, via Greenland, wants a say too. And this isn't just a friendly neighborhood meeting. It's territorial chess with nuclear players. And guess what? Canada's Arctic sovereignty is weak. Their navy is unfunded. Icebreaker fleet is aging. And internal politics are soft. We see what's going on with Justin Trudeau. And so don't be surprised if the U.S. starts flexing harder on Canada in the next decade. We could do this under the radar using trade deals, military exercises, and diplomatic pressure. Greenland, it's the gateway to the northern path. But the real power play is who owns the sea lanes, the ports, and the seabed. Control of the Arctic is control of the future. So now to Trump. The tariffs aren't just jobs in Ohio or soybeans in Kansas. They're about cutting off the oxygen to China's economic rise. Trump's trying to decouple, not just slap tax on imports. He's using tariffs to force supply chains to relocate, reshore manufacturing, and push companies to invest stateside. And more importantly, to test how much pain the U.S. public will tolerate in a long-term economic war. Think of something like Afghanistan, but we're playing it in the economic arena. You're watching the beginning of an economic Cold War. Tariffs are the first shot, and they're not going to be the last shot. Although tariffs can be seen as protectionist, they can also be weaponized. And that may be what we're seeing here, is not necessarily uh, America first in the sense that we want to bring jobs back, but more like America first, that we need to maintain our status quo as being the top dog. And who better to put in place than Donald Trump? So let's zoom out. Think maritime power. The British Empire wasn't built on tea and taxes, it was built on ships, checkpoints, and coastal dominance. They controlled trade routes, ports, and global flow. That's how they ruled. Does that sound familiar? Today, the U.S. is trying to do the same, expanding naval presence in the South China Sea, boosting military spending in the Indo-Pacific, tightening alliance around key shipping corridors. This isn't military flexing, it's a strategic rebuild. We're trying to replicate what the British did. Control the ocean and you control trade. Control trade and you dominate the world. But here's where the warning lights flash. Think Rome. Rome's economy wasn't productive. It was predatory. It needed to conquer to survive. The East, Persia, India, Egypt, they all had the goods. Rome had the swords. No conquest equals no gold equals no empire. Does that kind of sound like us? America's manufacturing has been hollowed out. We export weapons, import everything else. We build carriers, not factories. Our military industrial complex is the economy, just like Rome's legions. And like Rome, we're addicted to expansion because shrinkage looks like a collapse. And this is why they keep talking about the rise and fall of nations. You are at the precipice of the fall of the great American empire from the view of an American citizen. So what's really going on? Trump's tariffs aren't just random. They're phase one of a much bigger power play. This is about cutting off China from global manufacturing dominance, securing Arctic and Pacific trade routes, rebuilding economic nationalism, and buying time for Americans to pivot back to production. But here's the real gamble. It might already be too late. If China and Russia lock down the Arctic, if the dollar gets dethroned, if the US can't rebuild its economic spine, we're just Rome 2.0 waiting for the barbarians. So this isn't about Donald Trump. It's about a crumbling empire trying to reboot itself. And history is watching. So now I want to hear from you. Is this the final gasp of US dominance? Or is this a reset for a second American century? Drop a comment. Let's argue. Let's think. Let's not get played. And if you like this kind of brutal historic breakdown, subscribe and hit the bell. Support the rebellion over on Patreon if you want to help me go deeper and get uncensored. And until next time, rebels, think like a rebel, speak like a strategist, and never stop questioning the empire. I'll see you in the next one.